I would like to call to order this March 21st meeting of the Underhill Planning Commission. Does anyone have any additions to the agenda? I do. Brad Holden asked us to do a survey online about our climate change priorities or something, and it's due by the end of the day. And he asked me this morning, I think. So I said, or maybe last night, and I said we would do it together here because it asks like what the commission's priorities are and stuff. So we'll do that after executive session. So I'll try to remember. It's like a Chittenden County survey or something like that. So I thought we'd do that together and go through it. There's no public, which takes us to the February 15th minutes, which I actually sent around this time. Does anyone have any questions or comments on those? And I don't have the minutes from the 28th or 29th, whatever that was. 29th, I guess. In that case, does someone want to make a motion to accept the February 15th minutes?
So moved.
Thank you, Bart. Second?
I was here.
David? Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, everybody. So that's 603, 603, 604. Okay, so that takes us to Jeff, who obviously is a sucker, is interested in joining the planning commission. What should we, all kidding aside,
Yeah. You stopped the recording for this?
No, just for the discussion. So just take care of that. Yeah. So.
How many ways can I upset my wife?
That's right. All kidding aside, so it's like you're interested. Thank you. So as I mentioned to you, part of the process is just, I know everyone met Jeff when he came into the last meeting, but does anyone have, I circulated the resume and letter of interest that he sent. Does anyone have any questions they want to ask him about his background or interest in the planning commission?
I think we do. Those of us who were here
you're
did it last time.
the civil engineer?
Yeah.
So what do you, I wasn't here last meeting, so what are you, what is your focus like on your job? Like,
It's land development.
the land development? Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
so commercial, residential, industrial, whatever anybody throws at me, and I want to say yes to.
Do you work for yourself or?
I work for myself. All my work's in Arizona right now.
Oh, okay.
So, because that's where I was.
Yeah.
I don't really have immediate plans to push for business here, but it's not out of the cards.
Yeah. So you could move to.
Yeah.
You could do land development here. So
Yeah,
what you
I'm
do is.
licensed here now. So.
Oh, okay, so you could do subdivision work
Yeah.
or, yeah. Are you interested in that or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, great background.
Yeah,
Totally. What we do, obviously. So.
When they offer up more lots for affordable housing.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any questions?
What's your connection to Vermont?
Zero. We moved here. That's it.
Didn't you say was it in connection with climate change or did someone else?
Yeah. So my focus was climate change. We're climate migrants, I guess. Unfortunately, like people have been putting out videos that Vermont's a really good place for, climate change variables being relatively uniform, but we have young kids too, and my wife was, when we were looking and doing the pros cons of all the places we wanted to go, Vermont kind of checked most of the boxes for both of our needs and the kids' needs. So that's where we wound up. I mean, we're originally, my wife and I are from Northeast Ohio, so it's not too far. It's only like 600 mile drive. We can bust it out in 9.5 hours if we have to.
Yeah, just jump in the car.
It's easier than 2,200 miles.
It's all relative.
Yeah.
Well, great choices. It's a great place to raise a family.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Yeah,
that's
it is.
what everyone said and what we've experienced thus far, so can't complain. I mean, it's
Hi.
night and day from Phoenix.
How old are your kids?
11 and 13.
Oh.
So they're Browns.
Browns River.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually moved here from Chicago. Same kind of thing. We
for the kids to have.
Better school, better social
Experience.
Yeah, it's like cool. I mean, like kids out west are way more mature in a bad way for their age. You know, like they're exposed to more adult themed lifestyles. Where here, I notice the kids still act like kids even at age 13, 14, like they're out playing sports or riding bikes or screwing around in the woods.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what we've seen so far, which has been great. Yeah.
Cool.
Anyone else?
Do you have any questions for us?
Yeah.
Not right now, but I mean, I'm sure like as the days progress, months, years, whatever.
And we spoke, Jeff and I spoke multiple times about the planning commission on the phone before he even came to a meeting, so.
Yeah, and you had joined in last time, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys put out a notice like last year in fall, was
Something like that,
22 or
yeah.
something, and I inquired, but I was kind of like, well, we don't even know what we're doing here yet, so I don't want to get too overwhelmed with things, and I just been in touch with Brad, just to let him know, like, hey, I think we got our feet planted, we've got this mostly figured out, so I got, time to do that. So whenever an opening comes up, give me a jingle.
All right. Yeah. Anyone else? All right, well, we'll go into executive session. Thank you, Jeff. Because we're gonna stay in for the other person, yeah, you might as well.
All right, that's fine.
All right, well, I will make a motion that we go pursuant to 1 VSA, section 313A3. We are going to go into executive, I make a motion to go into executive session and stop recording. Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks. All in favor?
Aye.
I make a motion that we exit executive session. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so I think we have two motions. One, the first motion.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so the first motion is that we recommend the interviewee to the select board for the vacant volunteer slot on the planning commission. I'll make that motion. Is there a second? David, all in favor?
Aye.
The second motion would be that we recommend the applicant for the planning and zoning administrator job to the select board, and I will write the memo like I did last time. Is there a second? Roy, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. That takes us to, actually, maybe we should do that survey.
Should you have mentioned both of their names for the?
I don't think I can.
Oh,
I don't remember.
I think that's why we
details.
did it in
Oh,
executive
okay.
session.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, thank you for asking.
That was just so we could,
Or the discussion, yeah. I don't think it,
discussion was just in case it was not a positive
okay.
feedback.
I don't think we did last time, David, but
Okay, I don't know.
I will, yeah.
Technicality is.
I think you can mention the names because in other procedures, they might have been here for an
Oh,
interview that
okay.
would not have been an executive session.
Oh,
But
okay.
we've done it that way and that's fine. I will
Okay.
check with Brad in the
Okay.
future, but the point of
Yeah,
executive
I'll confirm
session
with
is
Brad.
to
More
have
the
exactly what
discussion,
we had
less the-
discussed.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Okay, this is this survey. And again, I apologize for doing it this way, but I just found out about it and I will fill it out as best as we can. So it is the municipal greenhouse gas reduction. It really rolls off the tongue here. It's the municipal greenhouse gas reduction action prioritization survey. And it is from the Chittenden County Regional Planning Commission. And let me just read you the 6 questions at once, and then we can go through them. Municipality, that's easy, Underhill. The Regional Planning Commission you are part of, CCRPC. Okay, now here are the other questions. Municipality's highest priority project relating to greenhouse gas emissions. Then in parentheses, could be weatherizing municipal buildings, a community solar project, a new park and ride, EV charger, equipment upgrades, etc. Supposed to fill that in. Project point of contact. I guess we make that Brad. Rough budget estimate. will be used for, in parentheses, will be used for general grant calculations and does not have to be specific. And then it says potential co-benefits, and it gives you 5 boxes. Resiliency adaptation, such as making infrastructure, community, etc., more prepared for and resilient to climate change. Second box, public health, parentheses, protecting residents from health dangers of climate change or pollution. Third box, economic, parentheses, improving the financial standing of the municipality or its residents. Fourth box, equity, parentheses, creating more equitable disbursements, Eldron, I think, of resources or opportunities for residents. Fifth box, other, parentheses, please specify. And we'll go back through those, but I mean, as I read this, because Brad literally just forwarded it to me and asked if the planning commission could fill it out, and it's due today. What is our highest priority project relating to greenhouse gas emissions? And then we make up a budget. We honestly haven't done the work on this project, and we submit this thing, which I think is, frankly, the easiest thing to do on the fly. But I guess if we're not included, if we don't do it now, then we can't get funding for greenhouse gas reduction measures. Here's what the email says to Brad that he forwarded to me. Dear Chittenden County managers, administrators, and mayor, below is a very brief survey the state's Climate Action Office is conducting in order to receive funding for greenhouse gas reduction measures. Specifically, the state is looking to identify, promote, and hopefully fund municipal actions identified in the survey, so this is a wonderful opportunity to get your project on the state's radar for future funding. This is a preliminary information seeking measure, so no need to have a specific budget or detailed work plan, just a general understanding of what project your municipality might want to prioritize. Please submit by March 21st. We look forward to hearing your ideas. Link to survey, signed by CCRPC.
Well, what were the energy committee recommendations?
Yeah, so it's kind of like what was in the town plan.
Yeah,
really, right?
So they were like, man, I can't even remember what they were.
So I had it up and then accidentally closed it. I have the town plan on my computer, and if you look at the energy section, which was chapter 3, our main priorities were, there were 3 goals. Goal 1, reduce greenhouse gas emissions to reach a state target of XYZ. That doesn't sound an actual point that we could fill in. Number 2 was reduce the energy consumption of town-owned properties and vehicles and encourage town residents and businesses to do so. And goal 3 was increase renewable energy production in Underhill. So the number, and then if you look at policy 1, promote energy efficiency, the strategy was improve the energy efficiency of town buildings. And number 2 is seek grant funding to support the energy efficiency upgrades for town-owned buildings. And sort of goes on from there. So I think if you look at our town plan, and then the policy 2 was promote and encourage the development of renewable low carbon energy sources in Underhill, which there's no specific grant thing in there really. And then policy 3 was reduce town equipment fuel usage. So the things that I thought of when I looked at this was like a grant to do something on renewable energy on a town property, or something with like EV for the town seems to be what fits most in our strategies. But
what about resiliency in weather induced problems?
I mean, that falls squarely in there too, for sure, David.
Yeah, I mean, that seems like a practical application, basically.
What would you mean by that specifically?
Well, looking at the ability for the town to sustain downpours, washouts with culverts and so on. So, keeping, work on those to upgrade, which has to be done anyway on occasions, and to fit the practical application. and not really end up on a, non-productive, yes, we're doing climate change action, and it's just going to cost money and have no effect at all.
This is like upgrading culverts?
Yeah, right.
So I'm just writing these in the box for now, and then we can go around. So you're thinking upgrade culverts. We'll flesh out whichever one.
Flood resiliency or something of that sort.
Flood resiliency, upgrade culverts.
And I think that's in the town plan.
It is. Yeah, that fits within this box for sure. I looked at it before that. Maybe we'll just go around with ideas. Tim, you can also just like somebody
it's
else's
just
idea.
general efficiencies to the town buildings, like we said, sort of electrical and HVAC improvements.
Wait, to make them more
More energy efficient.
energy efficiency improvements in electrical and
Right.
and insulation. You said?
Make sure you have all
HVAC.
LED bulbs and low draw requirements for the pictures, and a lot of the heatings can go into heat pumps, so you're
Okay.
not relying on fossil fuel heating.
Okay.
Switching to electrical.
Okay. Bart.
Well, first, I like David's idea.
Yep.
But second, I think is upgrading town buildings for energy efficiency, which would include what you're talking about. And, I want to focus on things that are practical, that you could measure success with.
Yeah.
Because weatherization would fall in line with that as well.
Sure.
Carol.
I like both their ideas.
Okay. Roy.
Yeah, I'm with their ideas too.
All right, we're gonna have
Drawing
to.
blank.
I'm just warning everyone. We're gonna have to pick one of these. I think I'm gonna reread the question and we can decide as a group. But I think we're gonna have to pick one. I
But
think
we're
they're
just
both.
not adding anymore.
I think they're both great ideas too. I'll do that for now. Bart.
Yeah, I think especially the waterway upgrades or evaluation and upgrades where necessary is no brainer, and so is the other stuff. If you say we have to come up with a budget, like in the next half hour.
Well, we're just gonna make some of.
Yeah, okay. Because my thought was like, one of the things was like EV charger at the town hall or whatever.
Yeah.
That would be super easy to
put a number
kind of
on.
put a number on right now. But that is, that is what it is.
I will
It's a
say,
more minor thing.
if we chose energy efficient improvement, I'm not advocating for this at all, but I'm picking up on what you're saying. If we chose town buildings, I bet we could add like EV at the town building as part of the
There you go.
weatherization or something. Like, I don't know. I'm sure we could find a way to write it that way. Probably a less obvious connection between culverts and an EV charging station.
Yeah, I don't know how this building heated? It's probably heated with
Oil.
propane, right?
No, maybe they went to propane.
Yeah.
There's a heat
Used to
pump
be
out there.
Yeah, there is but that's probably just for AC.
AC.
Yeah, so, it seems logical that would be
Yeah.
the logical thing to do.
Well, maybe is the town garage need improvements too?
Oh, I'm sure, that thing is
It
probably
always
so
is.
leaky, and I have no idea.
It's leaked from day one, so.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so let me just reread the question. The way it's worded, I'm down for whatever the group says. The way it's worded makes me think like we're supposed to name one, but also don't always have to follow the rules. It says municipality's highest priority project relating to greenhouse gas emissions. Parentheses, could be weatherizing municipal buildings, community solar project, new park and rec, EV charger installation equipment, etc. That makes me feel like we're supposed to name one. But we could say we could find a way to word it the way you did, David, and say it's like resiliency or whatever word you use, and say including upgrading a few key culverts and doing this thing in town hall. I don't know.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I think it's a stab in the dark here. It seems.
I mean, maybe, or is there a theory that if you ask for two, maybe you would get one?
Resiliency for storm events, or something of that sort. You could cover the culvert issue.
So maybe that's the question. Do we say two things, one being resiliency for storm events and one being weatherizing municipal buildings? Or do we pick one?
I think you pick one.
Okay.
I would do two, but.
Okay.
I don't
Who
know.
wants to do one and who wants to do two?
Oh, I don't care. I just think that they're gonna read it and,
And you think they'll bounce us if we do two instead of one?
well, it's almost like you're
Ignore.
pre-applying for a grant.
Can you read
Yes.
the wording of that question one more time? About how-
Municipalities' highest priority project, singular, relating to greenhouse gas emissions. I definitely think the question is saying that you should name one. You know, I'm not saying we have to do that, but that's what the question's asking for. Yeah.
I think the weatherization and HVAC upgrades to the town buildings would be more appropriate for
That description.
climate,
Mhm.
you know,
I do too.
resilient, because
Yeah, the question kind of points directly at it.
Yeah, you're good with that, David?
Yeah.
All right, well, let's write this together real quick, because Tim said it far better than I wrote it. So,
go ahead, Tim, say it again.
weatherizing municipal buildings include, give me 2 seconds, including, can you say it again?
Electrical usage upgrades
Mm-hmm.
to include high efficiency fixtures
Mm-hmm.
and
LEDs.
HVAC,
LED bulbs,
Mm-hmm.
general weatherization audits and action plans, as well as evaluating existing heating systems for upgrade to more efficient systems, and preferably which use electrical
To electrical.
versus fossil fuel
Okay.
for their fuel.
Should we throw an EV charging station in this, or does that
Mhm.
not fit?
No, that would, doesn't that fit if you're
Sure,
upgrading the
yeah.
electrical?
Yeah.
No,
Including, so weatherizing municipal buildings is what I have. Weatherizing municipal buildings including A, electrical usage upgrades to include high efficiency lighting. B, general weatherization. C, upgrade heating systems to electrical. And D, EV charging station. Oh, perfect. Okay. How much is that gonna cost?
$500,000.
Really?
Really.
Half a million?
I don't know.
Wow. I defer to the bill, I defer to the builders.
Everything's $500,000.
Everybody in town.
Well, I mean, town garage, I've not been inside it, but it's big.
You could probably spend a bit there.
Yeah, just to weatherize it, to make
Yeah.
it more,
So it's that, it's this,
this,
building, and what else?
that's pretty much it.
School.
Well, they have the-
the school.
the schoolhouse.
The
schoolhouse.
Oh, the schoolhouse, I thought you were saying the whole school, I'm like, we could just take that out.
Schoolhouse and the, post
Post
office.
office.
Okay, so then half a million?
Mhm.
At least.
At least.
There's no.
That's cheap.
It feels cheap, but I mean.
Yeah.
it's-
Oh, yeah, okay, $1 million.
Better to ask for more, you're gonna only have a limited pot, right, so.
Let's say 600,000. Potential co-benefits. So this would be, so the benefits were resiliency adaptation, click for that one for sure. Public health, protecting residents from health dangers of climate change. Is that, I don't know. Economic, improving the financial standing of the municipality for sure, right?
Yeah.
Equity, creating more equitable disbursement of resources or opportunities for residents. Is it doing that? I don't know. Tell
Yeah, what
buildings
does
are
that
nice.
mean?
I just want to check as many boxes as we can.
The equity one is a big question mark, you know,
Yeah.
what does that mean?
Well, maybe this doesn't do, I think this may not do that, really. Other, does this provide any other co-benefits? Not really, right? These are the two.
Air quality?
Air quality, ooh, air quality improvements. That's good. I think it does create, and then we'll put, how about this? increased public access to EV charging. That's good. Anything else? Everyone happy with this?
Yeah.
Right, we'll probably have our money by what, Friday?
Yeah.
Next week at the latest.
Yeah, or 600 grand, yeah, next week at the latest.
Did the rest, everybody else fill this out too? Yeah.
For Underhill? No,
Yeah.
we're filling
This
it,
is
we filled it out for Underhill just now. A lot of responsibility. Okay, so that takes us to, let me just make a note of this. What time did we come out of executive session, like 6:35 or something like that? Survey. 6:50 DRB issue. Okay, so that takes us back to DRB issue review. Thank you, everybody. And, well, I'm thinking we skip Sandy's because she's not here, right? And do it next week?
Yeah, I'd like to do it next week. Is this inclusion here? Is this from Sandy?
Yeah, the printed pages I forwarded to Amanda. It's the stuff that Sandy sent around and I just asked her to print it for us. So maybe everyone just hold on to it for next week.
Yeah. I think it'd be a good idea if people had their name on what they submit.
Oh,
Just so that
that's
it's
a good
a
suggestion.
reference point.
Yeah, we can have a question or something.
And then a draft, date, because there changes as time goes on, certainly mine anyway.
Yep. Okay, so next week, the first thing we're gonna do is farm, or not next week, next meeting. The farm stuff with Sandy.
I
So,
will not be here.
okay, thank you. That takes us to, well, that takes us to a question. Do we want to pick up with, we had received these materials on contiguous land at the last meeting that were left here. Do we want to start talking about contiguous land? And what that might mean?
Sure.
So I think
I mean, what's,
This is regarding a road dividing property up, parcels up.
Yes. So, yeah, what does contiguous land mean? And she sort of gave us a series of questions regarding this. So, I mean, there's multiple pages of questions regarding this, so we could just sort of start working our way through them. So basically, maybe I'll make photocopies of this too.
who gave you this? Was this
This is,
Penny?
Penny. Yeah.
Okay.
So what she says is, I don't think we're gonna be deciding this tonight, so maybe we'll make copies before we leave, so what she says is, the definition of contiguous land is in the definitions, but not in the body of the regulations. The body of the regulations have statements related to quote unquote contiguous parcels, quote unquote contiguous tracts of open land, quote unquote contiguous lots, but no text that uses the term contiguous land. Section 11.2 of the definitions has a definition of contiguous land.
Wait, that's in the definition.
It's in the definitions. I don't know what page. So maybe we can look at that just so everyone can see it together. It's on page 194. Do you have one of those?
I do. I need to bring it.
Oh, no problem. I just want to
Yeah,
make sure you
thank
got
you.
it. Okay.
I worked on a definition on that, I recall, but my memory's not very good on some of these things. So anyway, I mean,
So then she has a whole series of questions, David, too.
Yeah.
I'll photocopy for everyone.
Further questions. Yeah.
So she makes a note. Well, I'll wait a second for everyone to finish reading it. Do you have anything contiguous? Hold on a second. I think there's a. Oh, there's one.
So the definition basically means, that if a right of way or a road bisects a piece of land, then and both lots are bigger than the required lot size for that district, that you have two usable lots, basically. I think that's what that means, right?
You have to have the right acreage for the district on both sides.
Both sides of the right of way.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so where are we going from there? What's the?
Okay,
So a couple of things, I changed the definition. I remember we got rid of that point, basically. Brad found that was kind of ridiculous when you have a kind of a diamond point on two parcels to call those contiguous.
we dealt with that.
Yeah, we dealt with that already.
Yeah, but
And-
she has a bunch more things on this.
So what's the main issue there?
There's a bunch of them.
Okay, it's just,
This is just so everyone has the definition and has just like read it. So it's
Yeah,
fresh
okay,
in your mind. Okay, now, question 1. I'm just gonna read it. Should the information under section 11.2 definition of contiguous land be incorporated into the body of the regulations instead of an apparent policy being laid out only in section 11.2 definitions? So should we add a section in here somewhere?
which would go in, where would that go? That would go in,
General regulations, maybe, that would be section 3, I think.
Yeah, general regulations. Yeah, so she's saying, okay, so hold that thought in your mind for a second. If yes, would it appear after section 3.8 non-conforming lots? And would that cause an unfortunate renumbering of the zoning regulations? I wonder if we couldn't include it in 3.8 somewhere, like 3.88, 3.8B or something, I don't know.
okay, wait,
We're gonna have to do
What page is
renumbering
3.8
anyway
is
along
what
the way, so.
True. So the question 1A is, should it appear after section 3.8? And we'd have to just kind of, I'll just make a note to add that in, I guess.
3.8.
3.18, 55, page 55.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, 3.8 for it. Oh, 3.8.
Sorry, David.
That's 3.18.
3.8 is page 38. No, 38. Well, it's 38 to 39. The end of it's on 30, or 37 to 38. The end of it's on 38.
Non-conforming lots?
It's not a non-conforming lot, though, if it's contiguous. It
Yeah.
depends, right? If it's contiguous and subdividable because of the acreage, then it
You know, we
is a
could do.
conforming lot.
Is this being too cute? If we didn't want to renumber, we could change the title of section 3.8 to non-conforming lots, semicolon, contiguous land, and then just add a section F that adds the contiguous land definition. Then we don't have to renumber anything.
Are we gonna have to renumber this all
That's
when
what-
it gets rewritten?
Yeah, that's what David
And I
just said.
redid this non-conforming lots also, simplified that. So I guess Penny hasn't seen that because, it's just something that we have in our files
Mhm.
to be done. But maybe this is an addition to it.
Yeah, I think
Already
she's saying, just add contiguous land as a whole separate section following non-conforming lots. Yeah, non-conforming lots, Brad has and is with the town lawyer forever now, so this is why we need a zoning administrator. It's true, right?
Yeah.
I mean, someone focused full time, right?
Yeah, no kidding. I feel like sometimes we're spinning our wheels with this, if there's no
I have it all organized, if you feel better about it. I know what we sent the town lawyer, so we can dump it all in here.
Yeah, there you go. Somebody else is in charge of it now, right?
So do people think contiguous land should be added as a new section between 3.8 and 3.9?
I think this is, we're sort of flying away
It's
on
not
this
a
thing
non-
without
it's-
actually doing some thought about it.
No, yeah, okay, so maybe let's hold and I'll keep going.
Yeah, I think it,
Okay, okay, and we'll photocopy this for everybody too.
Yeah.
Uh,
because it's gonna have to be worked in, you know, as far as the verbiage goes.
Also, is the implication that, so looking back at the definition, also, is the implication that the text, quote, where one or more, so in the definition where it says where one or more, is the implication that the text where one or more is describing contiguous land or is describing something that is not considered contiguous land?
This is back in the definition.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
Wow,
I'll reread it when everyone's looking at it. We can figure it out.
it's 190.
194.
Okay, so Penny's question is, okay, so where it says where one or more in the definition, so just focusing there, her question is
Contiguous lots.
on contiguous land. Yep.
Or
Here's-
one or more.
Here's Penny's point.
Oh.
Is the implication that the text, quote, where one or more, unquote, is describing contiguous land? So are we implying that the text where one or more is describing contiguous land, or is it describing something that is not considered contiguous land? Trying to figure out what she means by that.
So there's one where one or more existing road rights of way
Yeah.
bisect an existing parcel.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't say one or more parcels.
Yeah, no, I think it's just.
You think it's clear, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
it seems pretty clear to me.
She also says, is the implication that, quote, where one or more, unquote, is describing the situation where there is enough land across the right of way to meet dimensional standards, but another situation exists if the land does not meet dimensional standards? What would that other situation be?
It wouldn't be dividable. Because
It
you'd
would
be
be
creating,
subdividable.
it wouldn't be subdividable because you're creating a non-conforming lot.
Right. But the definition sort of works as is, right? Is that what you're
I
saying?
thought
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Okay, here's her next one, all in this definition in these words. Does the statement of where one or more mean only the lot size needs to meet the district standards? Or would the land also need to meet the other dimensional district standard frontage?
Hmm.
Oh, it have to meet all the standards.
And does the definition
It should say that,
Yeah, I think
well, it
that's-
shouldn't be in the definitions, it should be
be in
back
the
in
new
the,
section?
in the new section that, you know, it has to meet the standards of the setback requirements, road frontage, and that sort of thing. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think
that's
that's
clear. I mean, yeah, you
What's
have to
that?
meet the standard, basically. Otherwise, it's non-conforming.
Right.
Yeah.
Then she says, are there tax consequences to the property owner whether their lands are considered contiguous or not? Or, no?
Are there tax
Tax consequences to the property owner if their lands are considered contiguous or not?
Yeah,
If
for
the-
taxation, we used to, if they're adjoining lands, would be taxed at the higher acreage, so it would be a tax benefit.
If they were not
Separate.
contiguous. If they were separate, it would be a tax benefit.
No,
No,
they were
opposite.
separate and
I don't know
buildable.
how they're currently doing it.
Okay.
This basically what that means is if you have land on the other side of the road that is a buildable lot, that you get taxed as a buildable lot versus as one,
Got it.
versus one
So
parcel.
I understand. Yeah, because now you have a separate buildable lot that has market value.
So the taxes would be higher on that.
So there are tax consequences.
Well,
Well,
you
you
have
know,
to ask
But
Amanda.
but they do put them, they do combine them if you own
Well, they
the
used
lot
to, I
next to
don't
you,
know
but
if
I
they,
don't know about across the street.
Yeah, right.
So
I
ask
mean,
him.
so if it's one lot, it's one lot before it's subdivided. If it's subdivided, then it's separate lots.
Right.
Her last point was your catch already. It says, Brad H. suggests that the word point be removed from the definition and surveying a point does not exist. And we already deleted the words or point, so.
Yeah.
Covered.
I think I covered that.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe we'll just kind of keep running through these and then we'll make photocopies and then we can work on that section next week if people think we need it, but. So there's land on the other side of a road right of way, which she calls land B, I think for her hypothetical here. Does land B get added to the total acreage of the proposed development, or would this differ given whether the land conforms or not, or whether the developer chooses to?
Well, so I got this one, because if you have a house on, like, there's one of these right in my neighborhood, there's a house on like 50 acres, 25 are on one side of the road and 25 are on the other.
Okay.
So if you were to do a subdivision there, I think it's 3 acre zoning there.
Okay.
Now, this is kind of like confusing to me. Would you just combine all 50? You couldn't actually subdivide it into a lot that's 2 acres on one side and 1 on the other side of the road. Is that the question?
The point there, is that, if you have this 25 acres on one side and 25 on the other side, if it's considered just one lot, basically, you get tax purposes on that.
Yeah.
But if you're going to consider them separately, you have to go through a subdivision regulation process, basically, to just have it a separate lot, or can you just have it a separate lot? It's already divided by the road.
I think that is what she's asking. She in a point underneath it, because some of you might know this development, says, i.e. Baslow's Warner Creek subdivision.
Yeah, so it seems onerous to say you have to go through a subdivision regulation if it's already divided by a road. And they're separate and these lots are able to be built on.
You do have to go through a subdivision. You do have to go. You don't.
I don't think you should have to do. I don't think you should have to go through a subdivision regularly. I mean, you have to go through the whole process. It costs money, it takes time. And here it is, it's already divided by the road.
So why, let me ask you a question. Why, so if we believe this definition is clear, where one or more existing road rights of way bisect an existing parcel, the right of way may be considered a boundary dividing the parcel into 2 or more lots, then how are those, why is this an issue? Do we need to clean up the definition or something? What's Penny saying?
I don't know where she's coming from.
Yeah, I don't either. I know.
Because it seems
implied.
clear, right?
Seems implied to me.
Well, maybe we have to clarify that it does not have to go through a subdivision regulation if both parcels meet all the requirements.
Is land B considered a quote unquote natural subdivision or only if conforming? What does natural subdivision mean and entail?
Yeah, I think she's getting at the issue that I'm mentioning.
Mm-hmm. And then she also says a road right of way is often thought of relative to a public road, but it also implies a development road. Example, for development of 4 lots stacked behind one another with a development road joining them, the road will create a situation where each lot has acreage on one side of the road and also on the other side of the road.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, in her.
The difficulties of the land in Underhill oftentimes lead to that situation.
Yeah, it's private road. It's a private road. Like I'm thinking of like Acer Ridge over here off Beartown. there's two private roads that go through there, and they split the lots into two, everybody has land on the other side of the road, but it's a private road, but.
And there's still one lot.
Yeah.
Like Pinnacle Ridge is the same thing.
Right.
So
Yeah.
one or two of those lots
Has,
is split by the driveway.
Well,
but is that an issue? Is that?
Well, so yeah, because technically under this definition, could you read it to say if
You can't
if
do
the
that.
land on each side is big enough?
Yeah.
That being the caveat, that those are two separate lots. Or are
Wouldn't
they
that be the
contiguous?
DRB in their subdivision?
Yeah,
They
they-
should not allow that.
Well,
Right.
Huh.
I see where she's saying this could
Yeah.
use a little clarification.
Well, I don't know if it's clarification from us. It would be
Yeah.
more that how they treat, if they're willing to create the,
Hmm.
it's different if it's a town road than if you're putting in the developer's putting in the road anyway, and that's through subdivision.
Then she gets into this for people to think about. The acreage under a road or right of way existing or proposed does not get added to the acreage of a lot for development purposes. Presumably this means both a public highway right of way and the right of way for development road. That is your intention, correct? That's the question. Example, you have 10 acres in a 5-acre zoning district, would like to subdivide it into 2 lots, one behind the other. Lot A has a driveway right of way over it to Lot B, the subdivision can occur. Example, you have 10 acres in 5-acre zoning district with a town highway bisecting the acreage. You cannot subdivide because the town highway right of way is subtracted from your acre.
That's unfortunate.
Well,
You
she's
know-
asking if that's how we want it to be. I think
Well,
she's not.
if you
she's-
own to the
yeah.
middle of the road, most of the roads in town, and with right of ways, it's that way usually. So that acreage that the road has the right of way on belongs with the lot,
Mhm.
in my opinion. I know that town's
Well-
not always been dealing with it that way.
She gives more examples too, but you guys all get the drift of where she's
It
going.
makes
How
a
do you want to treat right of ways, whether they're private or public, with respect to lot size? I get why she's saying we might need a section to clarify some of this.
Hmm.
And then she gives some examples from other towns. And she gives a bunch of cross references in the regs where we use the word contiguous. So this is kind of a big one to work through.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have a lot of stuff there that we don't have actually.
Yeah, we only had the one copy and we didn't get started on it, and I hadn't thought of it, so I'll photocopy this for everybody on our way out the door, but it's
Yeah.
not, so next week we should deal with this too, I think. Contiguous land definition.
Well, this is more work on that. I've already started on that.
Yeah. Yeah, this stuff makes my head hurt actually, so I need to read it on my own. For sure. Contiguous land. So that'll be item 2 next week. Farms, Sandy's farm stuff. And this. And then,
Next week?
that's right, not
2
next
weeks.
meeting, sorry, David, I keep saying that. I'm sorry.
Not sure myself.
And the other thing that's on our to-do list, which maybe we want to talk about for the next 15 minutes, I think that's the whole next meeting, probably. Contiguous lots and farms. Okay, so that takes us to, if everyone remembers last meeting, it seems like we maybe needed to clarify home industry. That sort of came up as, I thought we had clarified it, and then it sounded like maybe, does anyone else remember that? It seems like maybe it wasn't clear. So do we need to go back to section 4.11 and make sure that it's saying what we wanted to? How did that come up? That came up last meeting somehow.
The sale of a property with a home.
Yeah, and we
Oh.
keep using Phil as an example, but it came back up again last meeting somehow. And someone asked if that was our intention, and I just wanted to make sure that it was reading the way we wanted it to read. And that's 411D1, I believe. 4.7, 4.11, D1. Okay, page 84.
What page?
84, David. Yeah. So the way it reads right now is, well, yeah, well, I'm totally blanking on the way this came up last week, but yeah, the issue was if it was saying what we wanted it to say, or last meeting, I mean. Because it says the home industry shall be conducted on site by residents of the dwelling and up to 5 non-resident employees routinely on site at any given time. And well, let's forget Phil, let's just use me. Let's say I had a business at my house and I no longer live there, but I wanted to keep my business going. I think our intention was that you could keep the business going, wasn't it? But that's
Yes.
not what this language says, actually.
Right.
So we need to clarify it.
Yeah.
Because we had thought it was okay. Somehow it came up last meeting, but that's not what it said. And I think that's correct. That is not what it says. So we need to fix it. So how do we do that? Maybe we add another sentence like provided, however, this isn't it obviously, but provided, however, what we're trying to say is provided, however you move, you can keep the business going, right?
Right.
So how do we say that?
Would that, so here's another, could somebody buy a house and build and apply for a home industry? Is a home industry conditional use? It depends on where you're
It
at.
depends on the district, but I think it might be allowed everywhere.
So could you buy a house and,
Home industry is
Sort of.
conditional in every district.
okay. Oh, so you have to live in the house when you're applying for a permit for a home
Well,
industry?
so this is the question. So yes, you do. But the way this is written, and I thought the situation we're trying to deal with is not, the situation is not me buying a house and wanting to start a home industry.
Mhm.
I think everyone agrees that you need to apply for that. The question is, I bought my house, I applied for a home industry, I got it. Now I want to not live in my house,
But still do the business.
but still do the business there. And I thought, everyone said, yeah, we want to allow that, but this does not allow that. So we need to add a sentence. If that's what everyone wants.
I don't know about that, though.
Okay, so.
But I mean, I
let's
can't
talk
think of a
about it.
specific example of where this is.
What do you care about in a scenario in which I don't live in my house anymore, but I'm keeping my business going?
So we have to draw a distinction between the pre-existing business that was there and started as a
100%.
home,
Yep. I think that's right.
and one that's somebody's just renting a space on.
I think, yeah, because home industry is a specific thing and it's conditional use in every district. And I thought what we were trying to solve for was a situation where I want to sell my house. Well, let me take that back. I'm just not going to live in it. Maybe I don't sell it. I just don't live in it. Well, actually, I probably am not selling it, but I'm not living in it.
You
And-
keep the
and
house.
I'm-
You
Yeah, I
still
think you
run
have
the
to keep it
business.
because otherwise the new owner would have to go back through conditional use.
Right.
This is more like I'm renting my place out as an Airbnb or something and I want to keep my business.
Huh.
I think.
Yeah. I mean,
Or I'm just renting it to my cousin or something, right? It doesn't have to be an Airbnb.
Only thing
I guess I don't have a problem with that. I mean, you want to encourage home occupation, home industry, I would think.
Unless there was an issue with the business that it was not being, it was being run in a way that was causing problems in some way.
Right.
Maybe you'd have an opportunity to reevaluate that before you just said, okay, somebody else can continue to run it.
Mm-hmm. Or are people worried that there's something about a home industry where it's more annoying to the neighbors if I'm not there to
Police it.
police it? Right.
Yeah.
I think it's just asking too much oversight. You know, just more just regulate.
Yeah, it seems like this is one of those things that they want us to come up with a regulation for that will probably never happen anyway. But you
Or
never
we could
know.
say we don't want to, well, the way, I think the way, A, I agree with that, and B, the way it's written now, like, I think what we're trying to decide is if we want to regulate less, really, right, to David's point, because the way it's written now, we can't do what I said. If you want to let me do what I just said, which is let me rent the house out and keep my business, we need to change it.
And we're assuming that it was an approved, unapproved business.
It had to be approved at some point to get through conditional use.
Right.
When I bought the
So
place.
exceed
or-
the requirement.
And that's not always an easy thing because somebody comes in and the neighbors say they don't want that business there, and that the DRB says, well, we're not gonna, it's not a slam dunk process to get a conditional use permit for a home industry.
Honestly, I think the scenario this is most likely to come up in is a home childcare business, something like that. It's hard to come up with a scenario otherwise where like what would it be? It's not an auto.
Well, you guys did mention Phil's.
Yeah, it started with Phil.
Yeah.
It's just like, yes, yeah. I mean, Phil is a great example. It just in the sense that I can't imagine it would literally probably have to be Phil doing it though, because there's no other garage. There's no other garage, right? That would.
AJ's on Route 15, but that's a separate,
Separate business. Yeah.
there's no home involved.
Is anyone who? Go ahead,
Well,
boss.
I just wanted to ask, like going back a bit, so the whole reason for the home industry designation was to give people a path to having a business without as many strings and red tape and stuff. Was that kind of the reason for the designation?
Think so. Probably.
What do you mean red tape?
Well, I mean, like, permit requirements,
If I read it, yeah.
more lenient or more, it would be easier to get approval for a home industry than for a business that was renting out a space somewhere or.
I'm guessing that it was done to allow people to start their own business at a lower cost. Because if I could start it out of my house and I don't have to go rent commercial space somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
it's probably easier for me to start my business. But I'm totally.
No, I
I
think that
can't even
is.
think of any home businesses.
But then it was
right now.
also to have, not to just do it on your own, but
Right.
there was some input from the town
Right.
in case if there were noxious.
Because I'm doing it in a residential area. So I think that's why it's
It
conditional.
was for
use.
oversight.
Yeah, so that makes sense to me, so. So I think there's a pretty compelling argument that once it's made through conditional use and it's been approved, that just because I outgrow my house and I'm building one next door and I'm I mean, you could come up with a great scenario where my parents need to move into my house and I'm building a new house and I want to keep my business going.
Yeah, I think we should allow it if when they got the permit, they're living there, and then they decide not to live there. I think they should still be able to have their business there as long as they have the property. That's right.
That the business ought to go with the property.
Right, so as long
Link
as
to
you
the
own the property,
Once
you're
the,
good.
Yeah, once the conditional use has been approved for that use on that property, I think that's okay, just let it stay there regardless.
So could everyone, I guess the one piece of homework for next meeting, and I'll do it too. And maybe we could probably knock this out in 5 minutes at the beginning of the meeting. Could everyone try to come up with their idea for like the sentence we would add on page 84 there to number 1 to do what we're trying to do? Like notwithstanding the foregoing, blah,
So
blah,
it's
blah.
basically saying that
As long as you own the
if
property.
you get the permit, you always have the ability to run your business out of that property, even if you don't live there.
As long as you don't sell it.
As long as you, maintain ownership.
So everyone just take a crack at,
As long as you don't sell what?
you
As long
can't
as you
sell,
maintain ownership of the property.
You can't sell it and keep your business going, because to your point, the business goes with the property.
Yeah, it goes with the property, right.
Yeah, we're all saying the same thing. It's just how you write it. So if everyone takes a crack at a sentence, I bet we'll come up with a good.
Well, if somebody, I don't know, a person has the business, owns the property, wants to keep the business going, sells the property. The new owner says, yeah, you can keep the business going. So
You'd be.
That
business
was,
stays
yeah,
with
that
it.
was something that was brought up.
Well,
It's another,
well, let's
Yeah.
include that in your,
Yeah,
include that in your thing and
We
we'll.
want to be as
we'll
liberal
decide.
as possible, I think, on this. Once the conditional permit has been made,
So we'll try
keep it
to,
going.
we'll start the meeting with this, everyone come up with your idea, then we'll do farms, then we'll take a crack at contiguous land. Which is gonna take a while to do. Roy is an A+ student because he's working on his sentence.
Well, I won't
right
remember.
now.
Supposed to do. Well, you should interrupt me. Leave me alone. I'll get my homework done early.
in class.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Otherwise, it's 7:25.
You're gonna give us copies of that?
Yeah, I'm gonna photocopy this contiguous land thing before we leave for. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Carolyn? Bart with the second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.